Gotham Geek Girl here, and let's talk more Last of Us. Episode 4, titled Please Hold My Hand, is a bit more action-packed than the previous episode. Episode 3 beautifully expanded upon and deviated from the source material, with an entirely new story for Bill and Frank. While this episode also takes some creative liberties, it expands upon the origin of the dangerous group known as the Hunters. Please Hold My Hand introduces an original character, Kathleen. She's played by Melanie Lynskey. She's the ruthless leader of a revolutionary movement that hunts trespassers Joel and Ellie in Kansas City, Missouri in the QZ. Similar to the game, Joel and Ellie encounter the hunters that are controlling the city when they enter in their pickup truck. One of the hunters pretends to be injured in an attempt to trick the pair into stopping, but Joel, he's been through it, so he knows what it is. He keeps driving through the group, and the group begins to attack and shoot at them. While fleeing the area, they hit these speed spikes and they crash, and they're forced to escape and make their way through the city on foot. After a brief shootout, Joel is pinned down, and Ellie is actually forced to shoot someone in order to protect Joel. Although she doesn't kill him, we do learn this is not her first time. However, in this moment, Joel realizes the ramifications and what they have to do to survive. He's going to need Ellie to be able to protect herself. So he finally teaches her how to correctly handle and hold a gun. Ellie also gets her infamous knife. And this knife, in the games, you need a shiv. We're later introduced to the character who I mentioned before, Kathleen, who was created by showrunner and writer Craig Mazin. Now, Kathleen's faction is inspired by the video game's territorial hunters. So they're known for hunting tourists, people who trespass. In the game, it's the former Pittsburgh QZ. In the episode, they explore the fight between humans and how they can be just as big of a threat, if not more, than the infected. This is what The Last of Us does phenomenally. They blur the thin line between right and wrong and the means that humans will attempt to justify to survive. Showrunner Neil Druckmann has expressed in interviews how in this world that there aren't just good guys and bad, that everyone is trying to survive and everyone is trying to live life to the fullest way that they can. But often the goals are competing with each other, and that's where interesting things start to happen. And different philosophies of how to survive or what they do to justify the means speak to what the story is really about in new ways that they did in the game. In the game, the Hunters are a group of hostile survivors. They also appear as enemies in The Last of Us, a playable faction in the faction's multiplayer, and they're also mentioned in The Last of Us Part 2. So they're named this because of their tendency to brutally kill anyone. So, as I mentioned, they'll refer to people as tourists. So they'll steal their clothing, their supplies, and their food. Now, Joel and Ellie encounter them. Like I mentioned in the game, it's in Pittsburgh. And the Hunters are generally compromised, like former quarantine zone residents, so typically remaining people in the city that overthrew the military. So we saw in the show, there's even like kids involved. So it's like a new QZ, a new town that they formed that stick together and will protect each other. Now, we also get a glimpse of two fan favorite characters. Joel and Ellie meet two other survivors, Henry and Sam. Now, in the game, they were separated from their group, passing through the city after being attacked and scattered by the Hunters. In the show, it appears that they are personally being hunted for personal reasons, which we'll see more of explored in episode 5. So I love how this episode explores more familiar landscapes, combat. Joel and Ellie start to get more comfortable around each other. We also see fun homages to the game, like how handy it is for Ellie to jump through the window. You do that all the time. So I love seeing their partnership start to build. And just wait till you meet these two, see what's next.